So without further ado, I would like to introduce our presenters for today. Rick Malloy is Water Conservation Manager at Central Utah Water Conservancy District, who works with state and local water agency to develop water conservation strategy and public outreach tool. The other presenter for today is Jack. Jack is the Water Conservation Coordinator for Central Utah Water Conservancy District, responsible for managing the district's online presence, overseeing the district's marketing efforts, and aiding in the administration of water conservation program, both commercial and residential.
Great, thanks. We'll go ahead and share our screen here. Awesome. So just a little bit of background. So I'm Rick, and to my left, I guess you're right, would be Zach. And this is our boundaries. So you can see down in the bottom right, that's the state of Utah. We cover a very large area. The majority of the population of Utah is served or is in our service area. Salt Lake and Utah County, if you're familiar with Utah, is where the majority of the population lives. And so large service area. We are a wholesale water provider, so we provide water through mainly a series of open channels and tunnels, and we maintain several reservoirs throughout the state, and also deliver Colorado River basin water to the Wasatch Front or to the Salt Lake and Utah County areas as well. So a lot of things. We also have hydro power generation facilities as well that we maintain as a district. But what I want to talk a little bit about today is starting off is kind of our water conservation efforts at Central Utah Water. A couple of years ago, we set out and implemented a new water conservation and efficiency plan. You can see this is dated October 28th. We set out a lot of goals and put a lot of things in motion to get us kind of where we're at today and to see us over the next couple of years. And we have been rapidly working through a lot of what we've outlined in our plan. We have looked at kind of the needs throughout the state and what we need to do to ensure a reliable water supply, specifically regarding conservation. And we estimate that as a state, we need to spend about $2 billion by 2030 and an additional $7.4 billion by 2070, just this is just in conservation spending to make sure that we meet our goals, our water delivery goals throughout the state, and continue to grow with the population growth that we've been seeing. So this, a lot of people see these numbers, and this is, probably more aligned with what people might see as large development projects. And we consider conservation to be similar to, development. And the reason why we do it, you can see this chart here. With our current demand from 2020, if we maintained that same demand with population growth, we would run out of water roughly in 2040. But we are very optimistic, and we feel confident that we'll be able to conserve and follow the trajectory of that green line, and we'll bring our water use down and continue to stay within that reliable supply. Now, a couple of things I want to point out. There's that potential future supply that is primarily focused on conversion from agriculture to municipal and industrial waters. So we say potential because we're not necessarily advocating for the conversion of agriculture, and more often than not, the residents in our service area would like to see local agriculture maintained, and so we don't necessarily consider that as a concrete future water supply. You'll also notice that the existing reliable supply trends downward, and the reason for that is, I think, on the next slide. Well, not the next slide, but we'll go into that in just a second. we have done a lot of conservation. The things that we're doing now or that we're going to talk about today might be new to us or new to the state, but we've been doing conservation for a long time. Our efforts that we've been implementing over the last decade or more have saved over 1.4 million acre feet of water from 2009 to 2019. So we've done a lot, and we're going to continue to do more because it's critical. We do have some regional goals that were put out by the state, and this is what we kind of adhere to as district goals as well. You can see the majority of our service area kind of falls in the Salt Lake, the Provo River, and the Green River area. You can see that ranges from an 11% reduction all the way up to almost a 20% reduction in use. And again, that's where that massive amount of investment comes into play to make sure that we meet those needs. But as a whole, a 16% reduction. And I do want to make a couple notes. We do measure in gallons per capita per day. This is, we hear that number used throughout the country, and the way that we calculate that number is all use. And so it probably seems high, but we don't subtract any return flows. It's not just depletion. We also include all of our outdoor irrigation for like home landscapes, and everything is included into that number. But like I said, our goal that we want to see by 2030 is at least a 20% reduction, and we're on track to get there. As a district, we have goals as well. Our first goal is to use our own water efficiently, but because we're a wholesale supplier, there's not a ton of efficiencies that can be gained in a pipe outside of maybe some water loss. And so we focus on that, but certainly that's not where the main conservation efforts are happening. We also support water retailers' efforts. That's where the end use is happening, and that's where there's a lot of potential. And then we also have a lot of public programs that we are involved in as well. So why the programs, or why do we choose the programs that we do? And a lot of it's based on this chart, these two charts here. So right now, for municipal and industrial water use that's diverted, 44% of that use is outdoor residential. We are notorious, I think, in Utah for pointing fingers at everybody else. We often say, well, the school across the street uses more water than everybody else combined, or whatever ridiculous things people say. But the reality is that 44% is outdoor residential. Outdoor commercial is probably 2 to 3%. Outdoor institutional is even less, and outdoor industrial is almost non-existent. So again, the lion's share is with residential. And the chart on the right, you can see the reason for that is there's a lot of overwatering happening. The typical water applied easily exceeds 50 inches a year. And if you look at ET and water needs, it's somewhere around 30 inches of water a season. So there's a lot of opportunity there that we can capitalize on. And we focus a lot on improvements to the landscapes. And you can see we have a local scapes program, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But you can see there's a significant amount of reduction from going from a traditional landscape to something that's more water efficient. And I talked about that declining water supply. Well, this is why it's a declining water supply. We know that there's climate change occurring, increased temperatures, lengthened irrigation season, higher ET, all equates to a higher outdoor demand. And you can see what that demand looks like on the left. It all comes in those few short months from May to October. Of course, this doesn't come as a surprise to anybody else, but it's important to know that we have to plan on additional supplies just to meet even existing needs without growing, just related to climate change, climate variability. So I just want to just touch on briefly some of the programs that we have. We have for quite a few years have done smart controller rebates and toilet rebates. They're all funneled through Utah Water Savers. These are statewide. Doesn't matter where you live, you have the ability to apply for these rebates. But then as a district, we implemented some new rebates for just our service area last year. And one is Flip Your Strip. And that's where, the small turf strip between the sidewalk and the street, just like in the picture, we incentivize conversion of those landscapes. And we feel like this is a good, easy starting area for people to change out their turf and put in something that's more water efficient. And there's a lot of benefits for doing that. One, you lose a lot of water in these narrow strips. Irrigation equipment was never really designed well to irrigate small strips of grass. And so I'm sure anybody that has one of these park strips will know that it's nearly impossible to keep your water from running down the gutter or watering the sidewalk and keep your lawn looking healthy. So right now we pay between $1 to $1.25 per square foot of lawn. And I can say very confidently that amount will continue to increase as our needs increase to remove that turf. We also do require, as part of these replacements, that they do replace it with vegetation. We don't want to see just concrete or rock throughout there. We want to see plants put back in and trees, and we think that that's an important part of turf removal is continuing to replace it with something, so you still get cooling and biodiversity benefits of having other vegetation in these areas. The other program we have is Localscapes Rewards, and without getting too much into it, because there's a video that I will tease later that kind of talks about Localscapes, but we, as I'm sure many of you, get frustrated when people call a xeriscape a zeroscape. And so in order to get away from that, we tried to coin a new term that was actually developed at Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, and many of you are familiar with this program and know the founders of it. But it was a great implementation of where design and functionality meet to save water, but really have something that's more aesthetically pleasing and works for Utah. Our climate is different, and lawn does grow really well here. We're not trying to remove it from every corner of our landscape, but rather put it into the most practical location possible. And so you can see this picture is a great example of what would be considered a localscape and would use a lot less water, and specifically it would waste a lot less water. And so we do have a rewards program for both new construction as well as people that want to retrofit their landscape. They can get paid an incentive to do this process.
Hi, Rick. Sorry to interrupt you, but can you move your mouse cursor so that the zoom drop down is gone? Yes, just somewhere out of the thing. Yeah, you see this drop down, sometimes it's blocking your text. So anyway, yeah, if you move it away, I think it should go.
Did it go away?
It will take a while, but okay, sorry to disturb you. Keep on.
No, you're just fine. Okay, well, that's good spot. Now I'm going to pass it over to Zach, who's going to talk about. So once we kind of developed these programs, we knew through our past efforts that we really needed to develop a marketing effort for the district, as well as for our conservation campaigns, our new programs. We needed to get information out there. And quite frankly, the government is not always really good at conveying information. And so we tried to take some new approaches, and we knew that video in a social world is king. And so we developed some new videos that we felt like would help our efforts out in a way that we probably couldn't do otherwise. And so I'll turn it over to Zach, who's our social media and marketing guru and everything else. And so he'll kind of walk you through kind of the process of where we started, where we went to, and then we'll wrap up with kind of what we're seeing for the future.
Cool. Thanks, Rick. Nice to be here, everybody. That was a good segue into what we're going to talk about now, our new district videos. So to start off, I wanted to touch on the why, and Rick mentioned a little bit about it just barely. There was a couple of different reasons why we thought video would be a good fit for pushing or passing this message about water conservation along, and why we went that avenue. The first one was there's undeniably some major shifts in consumer behavior over the past couple years. The biggest impact or pressure that kind of caused those changes or those shifts was obviously the pandemic that continues to affect us to this day. The way people got their news, the amount of people that jumped on social media and other platforms to get information increased significantly. So we knew that that was going to be a big factor. Another factor is, as Rick touched on earlier, Utah remains to be one of the fastest growing states in the nation. A large portion of that increase is coming from the children, grandchildren, individuals deciding to stay within the state once they reach adulthood and making their families here and not taking them elsewhere. But in addition, there have been other groups of people finding Utah and its recreational benefits and other great parts about the state desirable and have moved here. So that's another one of the big factors of why we thought it would be important, is to spread the information to new homeowners, whether they have lived here their whole lives or are just coming here. And then another one was the drought was pretty intense here last year in the state of Utah and continues to affect us here today. In addition to that, our leadership executive, our general manager, was recently appointed as the Colorado River Commissioner of Utah, which brought new light to the district and kind of pushed us into the spotlight a little bit, and some news media attention we got. And so we thought that it would be important to kind of control our narrative, which I'll touch on in a moment. So the purpose of these videos, as I touched on just barely, was to control our narrative. We were kind of getting annoyed and tired that media groups or other people with special interests were interpreting our story and passing maybe false information wrong, or twisting our words, or shedding a bad light on the district. So we wanted to control our narrative through content, and specifically through video content. We wanted to highlight the great people here at the district, who we are and what we do. I've only been here for about 1.5 years, and I've met some of the most amazing people probably my whole life. They're dedicated, they're hardworking, and they care about the residents of Utah, and they care about making sure that everybody has a clean, reliable source of water to their homes. And last but not least, we wanted to market our water conservation programs and efforts to the public there. That's a picture of our conservation team and seasonal staff at a Flip Blitz, which is where we got to convert park strips for some lucky homeowners that met certain criteria. It was a great opportunity and a great event that we got to participate in. So in this whole process, we decided that there were kind of 4 categories that we wanted to focus on. And you'll see these 4 categories, and you'll also see that some of these videos we submitted for awards or recognition, and you'll see some of those icons as they pop up. So we wanted to talk about the district. We made 3 individual videos to basically introduce who we are, what we do, and we'll show one of those videos here shortly. Next, we wanted to touch on our conservation programs and educate people, the public, about how they can conserve water. on a day-to-day basis. As I mentioned previously, the Colorado River is a hot topic right now in the West and continues to be and will be for the future. So we wanted to make sure that there was accurate information about what the district is doing in relation to the Colorado River. And last but not least, we had some educational videos that show up in K through 12 schools and introduce water and water conservation at that level. So I'm hoping this works, but we got some videos that we want to share with you guys. So we're gonna just play these, if that's all right.
You know, we've always wanted the best for you. We wanted you to stay healthy and be happy. We wanted a future for you.
Don't forget the flush, baby.
It's funny because, in a way, your future is kind of our future. And we wanted it to be the best future possible. Everything we did then was for now. It was for you. Even if things don't go as planned. You can always count on us to be there for you. Baby girl, you are going to thrive.
Mom, can I do Gelato, please?
Of course.
So that one's kind of like the feel-good video introducing the district and the important work that the members of our organization do every day. This next one is talking about the Colorado River and the importance of that river for not only us here in Utah, but for the entire Colorado River basin.
Here's a question. What does a humpback chub have in common with a cow on a Wyoming ranch? How about a farm in California and the Grand Maid Dam in Colorado? Or a family living in Provo and a boating trip to Lake Powell? They might seem disconnected, but they all have something in common, something very important. The Colorado River. In fact, a quarter of the United States economy, 7 states, and over 40 million people depend on this river. It is the reason we can live out here in the West. In a way, we are all one community bound together by this water. We need it, and we need each other.
So who are these people in our Colorado River community? We live in cities as far away as Los Angeles or Albuquerque. We're in small towns up in the Rocky Mountains or down in the Sonoran Desert. When we fill up a glass of water, chances are we're drinking from the same river. That water is our life.
This is how we grow crops in the desert where it rarely rains. It's how we stock our supermarkets year-round. Stable agriculture needs access to water. Our source for irrigation in the West is the Colorado River.
We also depend on the flow of water for a whole lot more. There are hundreds of hydroelectric generators along the Colorado River generating electricity without burning fossil fuel, all while providing jobs and empowering our economies.
We also count on the river for recreation, outdoor activities like rafting, fishing, and boating. All industries that support local economies and enhance our quality of life. These activities help us fall in love with the natural environment we call home.
But it's not just a home for us. We know that the river's natural ecosystem is important too. What's good for a river is good for its people, clean, healthy water. When a native species is struggling, it's a warning sign that the river needs our help. And when we protect these natural environments, we all gain the benefit.
We are all part of an extraordinary ecosystem, a community near its banks or far away. We all rely on the river in one way or another. That's why the Central Utah Water Conservancy District is proud to cooperate with other states and agencies to manage the Colorado River, because we all depend on this water together.
All right, then we're going to show two more, so hopefully that's okay. Rick kind of hinted to this one, but this next one is talking about the Localscapes program, and it's just kind of an edutainment, if you will, piece of content that helps educate but offers some entertainment. So hope you guys enjoy.
Suburban legend says there are 3 types in every neighborhood. Type 1, Garden of Whedon. Your yard is a lush, flawless paradise that makes the neighbors green with envy. Well, almost. Things are always greener on your side of the fence. Type 2, it ain't easy being green. You water so that the grass grows, but growth requires mowing. Turn your back for just a moment and you've got Jumanji. You're exhausted, but soldier on. Type 3, pain in the grass. It can happen to anyone when the physical, mental, and financial toll of landscaping grows too high. You snap, giving up your hashtag grass goals for hashtag lawn care don't care. Or worse. But whatever your type, common or uncommon, there's one guaranteed way to take your yard to the next level. Localscapes. Localscapes is a free guide to help transform your yard into a field of dreams, designed to save you money, time, work, and water. Yes, you'll eliminate hours of outdoor chores and thousands of gallons of water waste. Yes, you'll suddenly want to throw glamorous backyard parties. And yes, it really is as easy as going to localscapes.com for powerful planning tools, customizable help, and local classes, all free to you. Save green, stay green, go green. Localscapes.
And last but not least, we might be a little bit biased. This is my favorite video, but I believe it's Rick's favorite too. This is called Don't Eat the Kool-Aid. So we'll go ahead and share that one with you, another water conservation video that we produced.
Oh, what up, Scrawny?
The party's not for a few more hours.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm sorry, who are you? You're me, from the future.
That took you less time than I thought.
What happened to you, me? Do we forget how to bathe?
Oh, we really are our own worst critics. It's the future, man. We have dry shampoo. Trust me, nobody bathes. There's not enough water.
Wait, what? Wait, what do you mean there's not enough water?
Oh, are those water balloons? I haven't seen one of these in years. You past people are wimps. In the future, we fill these up with sand. Real game changer. One of our kids actually got a concussion that way. She's fine.
Are you telling me there's no water?
I shouldn't have said anything. Look, don't worry about water. It's no biggie. Once you try this, you never go back.
Where'd it all go?
You live in a desert. What, did you think Timpanogos was a freshwater glacier? By 2060, the population of Utah is double what it is now. So there's no washing, no swimming, no grass. You think football's hard to watch now? Wait till you see it without a field.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Nah, I'm kidding. There's no football or sports. Look, we can't have people running around sweating, right? That would be a health hazard. It's not as bad as it sounds. You learn to adapt. Although I do miss my bidet.
I can't let this happen. So take me back in time to whenever I can save the water supply.
Well, you could save thousands of gallons of water this summer by simply picking one more day of the week to keep your sprinklers off. Yeah, literally one day. But we both know you're not going to change, which is fine. Because I like the future like it is. Hey. Hey, don't mess with the timeline. It's watered down.
All right, so hopefully you found those a little bit enjoyable, a little different than the normal webinar stuff that we get to see. You're more than welcome to, with this QR code, scan it and it'll take you to our YouTube channel where you can check out the rest of the videos that we had produced last year. There's some other great ones out there. I just wanted to share with you a couple of them, given the platform, obviously talk about conservation. So moving on, I wanted to touch on a marketing campaign that we recently ran with those videos. And basically, here's a little quote that I really like that talks about the importance of marketing. And it's marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories that you tell. And I feel that the video production firm that we went with for these videos did a really good job of telling stories through video and through the scripts that they brought to the table. They were really great to work with, and just really loved that quote. So on to our conservation campaign. We just barely ended it actually at the end of June. So we started May 1st and ended June 30th. We decided basically on a budget of $10,000 for those 2 months, because we had run a previous campaign for about $5,000 and felt that we needed a little bit of an additional budget to push the messaging. Our goals there are laid out. We wanted to increase water conservation programs awareness. We wanted to get people talking about water conservation, basically looking at the engagement on the ads themselves. And we wanted to increase our website traffic by about 10%. The platforms that we chose were YouTube and Facebook.
Hi, Jack. Sorry to keep bother you again. Can you click on the more 3 dot and see if we can hide that?
Let's try it.
So hide floating meeting controls below that.
Boom. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Perfect. Moving on. So we'll just talk about the results that we had from this 2-month campaign, if that's all right. Let's try this. There we go. So here's the results at a glance. For that $10,000, we had our ads served about 1,200,000 times, which is fantastic, and covered our service area very well, which is kind of the region that we were targeting. We ended up spending less than our campaign budget, so that's always a win. And that's basically the only reason that I'm kept on the team, is that I can continue to not spend our entire budget. Many of our key performance indicators, which you'll see later on in the slides, I refer to them as KPIs, were better than industry benchmarks. And we got a lot of engagement. We were extremely surprised and happy with the results. So we're going to jump into, this is the Facebook Ads Manager interface. I took a screenshot of it, and we're going to just look at the KPIs that we were looking at, which are the click-through rate, which is essentially the number of clicks that your ads get divided by the impressions. And you can see it located over there. It basically just shows out of how many times were the clicks divided by impressions. I think I mentioned that earlier, but industry average is about 0.90%. We were hovering right around 2. So we were well over the average. And our cost per click, as you can see in the next column there, was also below the average, which is another great sign that these ads were relevant. People were interacting with them, and they found the content entertaining. Jumping over to now the YouTube ads platform, which is through Google. The KPIs that we wanted to look at here were very similar. We're going to look at the click-through rate here. On average is about 0.65. That's across all YouTube ads, all industries. For government specifically is about 0.07, which we were hovering right around there, which is great. We were happy with that. The cost per click was slightly higher, if not 2 times as much. I'm not super worried about that because of the number of impressions that we got through this campaign. As you can see on the far left there, we had over 400,000 for one ad and about 400,000 for the other, roughly about 800,000 impressions, which is fantastic. That's the number of times that your ads were served. We also wanted to look at the cost per view, 2 cents per view, which is below the average. And then finally, we wanted to look at the view rate. For YouTube is generally speaking 31.9%, and for government is 29.6%. So roughly about 2 times the industry benchmark, which is fantastic. A view in YouTube's eyes is watching it for 30 seconds or more. So if you're familiar with YouTube ads, you basically after 6 seconds can decide if you want to skip the ad, but you, no matter what, get that 6 seconds of content. They have to watch it for 6 seconds. So this is showing us that pretty much half of all people that were shown the ad viewed it for at least 30 seconds or more, which is fantastic in my opinion. And I told you that I did spend the campaign budget. I saved us about $3. So that's a win in my book. Thank you, Facebook, and thank you, YouTube, for helping me out with that. Did we achieve our goals? So on the top, you'll see there our goals as the title. And we wanted to increase the water conservation program's awareness. So as a result of this campaign running, we had an increase in not only phone calls about the programs, about emails, people stopping in our office, texts. There was a noticeable increase in the inquiries about the programs, not all directly related to the marketing program. I mean, we're in the heat of the summer. People are wanting to make those landscape changes to conserve water due to the drought and other situations as well. So can't take all the credit there, but we did see a noticeable increase in the inquiries there. You'll notice that there was a 769% increase in applications for the Flip Your Strip program and a 249% increase for the local scapes. That's statewide, so across all entities, not just ours, but I think that is phenomenal to see that much of an increase, residents taking the change, the plunge to make those landscape changes and show interest in water conservation in their outdoor water use. And then we wanted to increase our class attendance. So we teach landscaping classes pretty much multiple times a week through the multiple times a month through the growing season. And this year was particularly special because we broke our record in the spring 2 weeks in a row. So 180 was our record. And we broke it by one person on the 16th, and we broke it again on the 19th. And then jumping down into April, we broke it by over 100 again. But the one that we're most excited about was recent in June, when we broke it by over 100. And that is specifically a landscaping class pertaining to our rebate program, the Flip Your Strip. So we were extremely happy with that. And we continue to see a lot of people showing interest in our classes, our landscaping classes. Another goal was to get people talking about water conservation. And I know that probably a lot of people are worried when you put stuff on social media, because I heard it from somebody else and his name escapes me, but he called the people, the trolls, if you will, that are on Facebook and all the other social media platforms that leave negative comments. He called them cave people, which is an acronym for Citizens Against Virtually Everything. So we got to watch out for those cave people. But you can see here, our ads got a lot of engagement. The one thing that I am extremely fascinated by is that people found it so pertinent, or they liked the content so much that they shared it. I personally can't remember a time that I shared an ad that I just saw in my Facebook feed to anyone, or put it on my profile and attach my name to that, basically. So to see that we got over 200 for the Kool-Aid video and about 80 for the local scapes video is amazing and fantastic, because every time that somebody shares that, it's free publicity for us. It goes out to their network, and their friends or friends of friends can see that and engage with it. So that was a total win for us. So this is more people talking about water conservation. These are actual people sharing our content. And I just thought it was too funny. I had to throw a couple of them up here. So people from HOA committees sharing the content with the people, people kind of complaining about watering too much, and other people sharing. We actually, on the bottom there, that's a snapshot of an email we got just at our generic info@cuwcd.com email. He was actually from Idaho, and a friend of his, I guess on Facebook, had shared the video, and he saw it, and he sent an email and he said, I don't know why I'm getting any ads from Utah, but you're making good content. I'm living in Idaho and we have similar issues. Thank you guys for creating a unique advertising campaign. So we saw that people from Idaho, I remember specifically individuals from South Dakota sharing the content. It was a much wider reach than we ever anticipated. And here's some more just snapshots from other entities and individuals sharing the content that we shared, which was fantastic. Our last goal was to increase website traffic by 10%. So this is comparing on Google Analytics the same time frame, so May 1st through June 30th. The blue line is 2022 and the orange line is 2021. And we had over 24.96% additional users and 26.43 new users on our website during that time. So our traffic increased there by over 10%. We were happy about that. And then the other place that we pointed people to for the local scapes video was localscapes.com. And we didn't quite get the result we were looking for, but we did see an increase of about 4% and 2% there. But it's hard to compete with that huge spike when there was over 3,000 people that hopped on Localscapes in one day. So moving on, I just thought it would be fantastic to share with you guys some comment section gold, because I'm a comment reader and I love to jump in the comments and see what people are hounding other individuals or companies for. So you can see a couple of funny conversations here. I've blocked out their names just in case they might be on this webinar. Thought that'd be nice. But the one on the left that I really enjoy is you could see that there was an individual that posted on their same comment 3 times within a matter of minutes of one after the other. Thought that was hilarious, that they were either schizophrenic or talking to themselves. And then on the far right there, just some people with grammatical errors and people defending us, which is also a win. On the bottom there saying that we're not anti-lawn, but we have great guidance and we can show you how to do it wisely. And some other funny ones here that you're more than welcome to take a look at. I thought it was funny that people said to stop breeding, that's the solution to our water problems. And the funny one on the bottom there on the right, that it's apparently the solution is that we have to take showers together like they did in the 70s and 80s. I wasn't alive then, so I don't know, but we could maybe bring that back. A lot of the styles coming back from the 70s and 80s. So some final thoughts is we had a lot of fun with these videos. We had a lot of fun with the marketing. We are in the works on making some new videos. We plan to have a pretty strong campaign next spring to push water conservation again. So hopefully, maybe if this went well, we can come back and share the results with you guys on that campaign. We're really excited and have been planning for it for some months now, and we'll continue to plan and organize that. We're extremely grateful to be in this opportunity and share this stuff with you. Here's our contact information, Rick's and mine, and also QR codes to our social media platforms if you're wanting to follow us and see what we're doing there on those avenues. But